All right, you ready, Mike?
We're ready, brother.
All right, sounds good. All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is another episode of Conversations with Rob. Look for our segment on the radio. We do some segments with 30 radio stations all over the country, and also look for this podcast on YouTube where we interview impressive people from all over the country. I have a special person who my family has turned me on to. This is Mike Murray. He's a comedian, and I'm going to let you him tell more about himself in a minute. But he works for an organization who started up Funny for Funds, and he's going to talk more about that. Mike, thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Rob. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to let the people know about our organization, which is really, really cool. We started Funny for Funds about 6 years ago. That's a cool story because we raised $5.5 million since then for groups and causes. Anything from little leagues to medical relief shows to wheelchair vans. But the real cool story behind Funny for Funds is I was deaf until I was 40. And then I had the cochlear implants put in both my ears, and at 40 I could hear for the first time and be able to communicate with people. And then at 45 I started comedy. At 45, which is ancient for starting comedy. And then at 50 years old, started Funny for Funds, and I'm partner up with Bill Simons, and the rest is history. And it's a pretty cool thing. We like to say we don't book shows, we book moments, because so many of our shows are for such special causes, you know.
Right. So, Mike, who developed this? I know you and Bill, have talked about this and you work together. But who developed the idea? Where did you come up with the idea of Funny for Funds?
So, I was doing fundraisers, and it was called Mike Murray and Friends at first. And then it started getting bigger and bigger. And then I decided I needed to give it a name. Because I had some visions. Of it getting bigger and bigger. So I came up with the name Funny for Funds, and then shortly after I came up with the name Funny for Funds, I was probably in business doing Funny for Funds for about 6 months, and then I partnered up with Bill Simons by accident, and I recognized he shared the same passion. He was also doing fundraisers, and we both had a special dynamic about each other. And then when we said, hey, let's join forces, and we could create a monster. And that was about 6 years ago. So, and it's been an amazing ride, and we're just getting started.
All right. So when somebody goes into a Funny for Funds event where you do make moments for different people all over the country and the state of Rhode Island in general, what goes on in a show? How does it start? What's the middle of it, the end? How does it go?
Well, we like to say we're a fundraising company with a comedy show kicker. So what we do is the night is an event. Make no mistake, it's an event, and we provide like the stage, the lights, the sound, the backdrop, a 90-minute comedy show, and then we MC the whole event. We do the raffles at auctions. We provide them with raffle tickets. We provide them with a show flyer. We provide them with a Facebook event page. We provide them with online ticket sales where people can buy tickets, make donations, and sponsors all into their account. So we really are a fundraising company. The show itself is, we have about 150 comics, and we tailor make the show to fit the client. So if we have a younger crowd, we put younger comics. If we have an older crowd, we put older comics. If we have just a woman crowd, we put just women comics, and so forth. But the show is, as you know, nowadays people are scared of comedians and comedy because people toe the line. They're politically correct thing. We tailor make the show, and we have guidelines that we meet. And make no mistake, we pander. We pander we make sure we don't do any, nothing crosses the line, no political jokes at all allowed. We don't say certain words, and the comics get certain guidelines going to every show based on the client's needs.
Right.
So it's pretty cool.
So this is, and we're going to ask a couple more questions, but I do want to get into kind of what you talked about in a second. But how did you get into comedy? You talked about earlier, and for people that don't know, you were hearing impaired for quite a while in your life. How did you get into comedy as far as because obviously, not being able to hear and being hearing impaired, it's tough to really get into a special, talent like that.
Yeah. And yeah, because public speaking is the number one fear among people. Dying is second. Everybody knows that. You know that being a radio host. Stand-up comedy was easy for me because when I was hearing a kid, I used to just memorize jokes. And I couldn't be part of any conversation because I couldn't have it back and forth. So to inject myself into conversations, I was just the guy that knew all these jokes, and I was kind of my humor was my defense mechanism. And then once I got my hearing, I finally had a story. I finally had a story that I could relate to, going from the non-hearing world to the hearing world. And what that did was it gave me a great routine. And not only that, so I didn't stop comedy until 45. Somebody signed me up for a comedy class, believe it or not. And I went to the comedy class, and you had to graduate in front of a live audience. And there's 200 people at Texas License Tower, Twin River Casino. And I did my first set. My first set was 12 minutes long, which is a long time for anybody. And my phone started ringing. People wanted to hire me because I was different. I was bringing something different to the stage. And then that just evolved into, like, I was an adult. I was already 45. I had kids in school. So I was part of fundraising committees. And people would say, hey, we need new ideas. I said, all right, I'll do a show, a comedy show. And then that's how really the fundraising started. And I just kept my eyes open. I was entrepreneur-minded. I said, well, this works, that doesn't work. And let me put it all together. And Funny for Funds was done. So,
go ahead.
Pretty cool.
Mike, go ahead. Oh, no, I was just going to ask you, and we did bring this up a little bit earlier in the interview. You know, you look at Richard Pryor, George Carlin, Don Rickles, Eddie Murphy, big name comedians. And then as you talked about, you know, in their prime, if they said some of the stuff now that they said in their prime, it wouldn't work because, like you said, all this political correct crap that's going on, it's insanity. So I know you say you don't really gear towards politics, and that's got nothing to do with this. But how has comedy changed since, you know, you got all these great comedians from the past, and now the comedians now are not really that great compared to those guys? I'll tell you that.
Yeah, exactly. And times have changed with the political correctness being shoved down our throats and everything, and it changed comedy. And it changed comedy for the worse because comedians were always they're creative. They want to use their creative juices. When you go to a comedy show, as a fan, everybody should check their reservations at the door and just understand that guy's just trying to be funny. He doesn't really believe this stuff. And some of this stuff is so over the top. You got to be crazy to believe that he believes that. Right. But so somebody posted today, actually, this morning, saying Sam Kinison was one of the greatest comedians ever. He would not fly today. It would just not fly. But here's the good news, Rob. I don't know if you watched recently Bill Burr's special and Dave Chappelle's special.
Right.
Both of them came out right at the same time, like the same week. And it was really cool to watch because what they both did is touched on every single subject that is a sore spot for everybody. And as a comedian, I was watching it, and I would believe fans themselves too were probably saying, I think comedy's back. So rest assured, I think it's making a comeback. I really do think it's making a comeback because even Jerry Seinfeld was getting booed out of colleges. How can Jerry Seinfeld be not a guy who's like the enemy? So I believe, and again, it's really sad for the way the comedy scene went because of all these things. And then, yeah, you've got some bad comics that really, truly crossed the line. And it's not comedy at all. Like when the girl was holding Trump's head, that's not comedy. There's nothing comedy about that. But then she was trying to explain how it was being creative and no. But what Dave Chappelle did and what all those former guys did, Chris Rock, Eddie Murphy, Sam Kinison, Richard Pryor, I think it's coming back. I really do. But comedy from those guys is absolutely hysterical if you can check the reservations at the door.
Right. My thing is that you look at Jerry Seinfeld, you brought it up, and I did hear about that when he got booed. Jerry Seinfeld's clean as a whistle. He doesn't even swear. He doesn't say.
It's not. It's not. It's really is crazy. And then you got a lot of guys that are trying to stay away from gigs like that. And college gigs are the ones that pay the most money too. So it's like, all right. So college gigs are going to nowadays. They're going to people with more of a message. So it's becoming almost like a public speaker that has a little funny in their act.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's sad because one of the most popular TV shows of all time. It was a great show. I'm a big fan of it. But to move on, with when you first go on stage, do you feel out the crowd? Do you worry about getting booed? How does it work with stand up? You know what I mean? Like, I could see. Yeah. I know you talked about public speaking, and I've done my own public speaking. And when you get up there, and depends, it could be in front of 300, 400 people, or even more than that. You look at some people, they got their finger up their nose, or they're looking down.
Exactly. All right. So when you get up there, clearly most comedians, you got your set. You know where you're going. In a perfect world, you're going up second or third. That's where you're going up third. Now you got to see two comedians do their stuff, and you see what the audience is responding to. So that kind of sets the tone for you. I am not a fast guy or but if the comic before me is just all over the place, he's really loud and he's energetic, I have to match that now. I have to ride that wave. If the comic before me was kind of slow and they were really digging it, I would go on and just pick it up just a little bit and try to ride that wave that way. So it's and now we have our sets. Like I said, I can go out there and do 45 minutes, no problem, clean or dirty. If the comic before me dropped an F-bomb and the crowd loved it, clearly I'm gonna know that's what they want and that's what they like. If the comic before me dropped an F-bomb and the crowd gasped, I know to stay away from the F-bomb. I know that I gotta tone it back a little. So you really gotta pay attention to the comics before you. Now, let's say I'm going up first. I do my first couple bits, all right? I do my first bit, which I know I should have them by then. If I'm getting nothing, it's going to be a long 45 minutes. So now I have to maybe change speeds, maybe change the delivery, maybe change, talk to the crowd a little more. See, there's a lot going to, and as time goes by, the more shows you do, you can recognize it right away. I'll give you a perfect example. You talk about bombing. I followed one of my comics the other day. I was following him, meaning I was going on after him. He absolutely destroyed. I mean, applause breaks, 3 applause breaks. The crowd was just loving him. They wanted no part of me. They wanted no part of me. And so I'm up there, and we got a comedy we call it eating it. I was eating it. I was absolutely eating it, and it was a long night for me. It was a long, long night. It did take me to get him about 15 minutes to get him on my side. I was trying different deliveries. I was trying different speeds. I was trying everything. And those nights sting. They really do sting. It makes you say, why am I doing this? And you've done thousands of shows. And the very next night you'll go up to a different crowd, do the same exact stuff, and you're getting the applause breaks, you're getting the laughs. So it's all right, cool, I'm back where I am. But you gotta have tough skin. You really gotta have tough skin to be in the comedy game. And it's like any entertainment or any speaking type thing. Public speaking is a little different where they're there because they know you're delivering some sort of a message, just like comics. So they're there because they want to laugh. You gotta make them laugh. The common misconception about stand-up comedy is a lot of people think they can do comedy. They say, oh, my friends say I should do comedy. Everybody says I should do comedy. You're funny because it's your friends. You're funny because you know your friends' ins and outs. You know their tricks. When you got a stranger crowd, nobody in the audience knows you, you got 1 minute to get them on your side. And you have to talk in universal terms, that's something. So if you're going out in front of a crowd that's everybody's over 60. You know, if you're 22 years old, we're going to have a hard time. If you're 50 years old, it's going to be a pretty good show. So, you got to know your audience. But yes, I think, here's a cool story. Just in the last weekend alone, I experienced something I hadn't really experienced where I didn't get a laugh on a certain line. So I got off the beaten path and I feel like, I like to feel that I'm funny on the cuff in real person. I feel I'm funnier in person than I am on stage. I think a lot of comics feel that way too. But I don't have the guts to go off script on stage because you really need that laugh every 15 seconds or you're done. So 10 seconds actually. So it's called laughs per minute. But when I didn't get a laugh at this one particular joke, what I did was, because both crowds were kind of small, I said, let me try something. And I kind of explained the joke to the crowd in a funny way because I didn't get a laugh. I said, get it? And then I just went to explain in crazy terms what I was trying to say in that punchline. And guess what happened? It's not a one bit because I'm going to just keep doing it because I had more fun. I explained the joke for 5 minutes the other day. And it just kept getting better and better and better because I was like, the joke was on them now. Yeah. They didn't laugh at my punchline. So now I'm explaining to them, I'm breaking the whole joke down. And while I'm doing it, I was having a blast and they could tell I was. And therefore, laughing's contagious. It was pretty cool.
Let me ask you this, Mike. Have you ever been on stage? You got that guy or female in the audience, rather. Everybody's laughing. That one person, they're sitting there with that pouty face, like they don't want to be here. Their boyfriend or their girlfriend dragged them out there. They're just there. And do you try to like maybe hammer that person until maybe you try to break them? You ever done that? Or, yeah?
It happens at every single show. There'll always be at least one or two people like that. And any comic will tell you the same thing. Yo, they're watching them. They may not look at them like this, but they're watching them. They know this dude has not laughed or this chick has not laughed. So their whole goal there in the whole set is to get smirked. Once they get that smirk, and trust me, the comic knows this is happening, during the whole set, they're like, I just got to get this guy to laugh. I know I got 200 people laughing. This is the dude I'm going for. And sure enough, once that smirk happens, the comic might say something, I gotcha, or he just inside he says, I get it. I get it. And trust me, every single show it happens. And I had one person come up to me. I went up to them afterwards, never laughed during the whole set. And I went up to him. I said, can I ask you a question? I said, you should not laugh at anything. He said, I don't find comedy funny. And I'm like, I said, I never heard that before. There are people like you? I said, what do you don't find comedy? So what do you laugh? He says, I really don't laugh. I'm like, that must be a horrible existence. And true story, the guy does not like comedy.
Wow.
But he was there because it was a fundraiser, and he was dragged there. But to those people, if you're out there listening, just don't go. Just don't go. Make sure you go into the bathroom, go outside, go on your phone, but please don't sit there with your back to the comedian.
Wow.
Be on your phone or try talking to other people or interjecting. Just stay home. Just stay home. Buy a ticket for the fundraiser. Explain to your friends that you don't like comedy. Stay home. Yeah. Because you're ruining the show.
Mike, has anybody done that during the show? Are they kind of like are on their phones, or you see them kind of? Do you try to hammer those people? Because I feel like somebody like Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, you brought up guys like that, Don Rickles and stuff. Those guys would hammer those guys. Right
yes,
away.
they would go after them. Yep, they would go after them. Now, the danger part of that is those comics are great with the back and forth, but most comics would stay away from it because picture a room of 200 people and there's one person in the front row and they're on their phone. You can see them, but nobody else can see them. So if you attack that guy, they're going to be like, why is he attacking that guy? Because they can't see what's going on. And the worst thing that can happen to you is once you go into the audience, meaning interacting, the audience starts to feel it's okay to interact now.
Yeah.
So there's two types of comics. There's the comic that does crowd work, that's what they call it, crowd work, and there's the comic that does material. I'm a material comic. Okay. So if somebody interjects or says something, it's best for me to make believe I didn't even hear it, because chances are 75% of the audience didn't hear it either. Just move on. And then eventually that person will stop saying things. A crowd work guy really takes risk because it can get ugly fast. But real good crowd guys like Bill Burr can really, 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 really destroy somebody. Bill Burr, I don't know if you ever listened to his Philadelphia rant. No. When you're done with this podcast, I want you to do me a favor. Go to YouTube. Whatever one has the most likes on it, it's called Bill Burr Philadelphia. Okay. And what happened was he was going on last, and it was a benefit show in like a stadium. Yeah. And there was, let's just say there was 6 comics before. The crowd was unruly the entire time. Bill Burr went up there with only thing in mind. We had 15-minute spot to do, and he just laid into the whole crowd, not just one person, the whole crowd. It's considered the best heckler destroyed video ever. There's no video of it; it's all audio because if somebody audio taped it. But the one with the most likes will have the best audio. You would be so impressed to see how Bill Burr handled it. And it's just amazing to see. I really don't have snappy comebacks. The only snappy comeback I would have is somebody yells something out. I say, yeah, that was real smart. Yelling something out to a deaf guy. So, and then usually everybody laughs, and then I go on. Or I say, I don't know, buddy, if you heard the first part of my set, but I'm kind of deaf. So, I said, I can provide the transcript of my set at the end of the show for you, but then I move on. But somebody else, the guys are pretty good. Yeah, that's all that's the most farthest I go on heckling. But nobody really heckles me. I'm lucky because I had a handicap, and you got to be a real jerk to heckle somebody who has a handicap. So, all the thousands of shows I've done, it's only happened a couple times. So I'm a lucky dude.
Well, they are mentally sick if they do stuff like that. But there's a lot of mentally sick people in the country. So
exactly.
Anyway, so what was it like growing up, not being able to hear? Could you read people's lips to understand the comedy on TV or movies, or just talking to people? How did that work?
Yeah, I couldn't watch TV because when I was growing up, closed caption wasn't available. Oh, true, yeah. I got my humor through my friends and stuff like that, my family. My hearing loss, I could hear you talking, so I could hear things and sounds, like some blind frequency shapes and colors. I could hear things and sounds. So when my hearing loss was discovered, I was put into lip reading and speech therapy. That's why I have a good voice. And so what I would do is, when I was having a conversation, of course, it had to be real quiet, one-on-one. I would take the topic of the conversation, sound and lip reading, put it all together, and it was okay. But if we really wanted to get your point across to me, you had to write it down. So that was my existence. I couldn't watch TV, couldn't go to the movies, couldn't talk on the phone, couldn't go through drive-thrus and all that stuff. And then I remember back in the just around 1991, closed caption was really starting to take off. 92, I actually had a closed caption party at my house where I couldn't wait. I had a TTY machine, so if I talked, I could call you on the phone, but it was through an operator, where the operator was typing with me. That was my existence. And then at around 30, I had the opportunity to get the cochlear implants, and I didn't take that opportunity because I was like, I'm not going to have this operation done on my ear. What if they come up with something better? I thought I was going to be stuck with whatever they gave me. I didn't understand that all the upgrades were done on the outside part of the body. So I kind of wasted 10 years. The second opportunity came up at 40 years old. I jumped at it, and I was glad I did, because at that point my hearing was so bad where everything had to be written down. And then I had a word test in a booth before my implant, where the audiologist would say a word, I would have to repeat it. I got 0 right on a 1-hour test. After the first implant, I scored 85% correct on the same test. After the second implant, I scored 100% on the same test, word for word.
Wow.
So not everybody has the success I had, because I could hear things. My hair fibers were stimulated, so I had, as opposed to somebody where they're dormant for years. I had a much better success, and everybody has different levels of success. I happen to be in an extreme circumstance where it was very, very good in there.
Right. So I just got a couple more questions about comedy in general, but I wanted to get that story out. We didn't get to it at the beginning of the interview, but I wanted to get that out. But so let's talk about some more comedy things. So first of all, when you go on stage, for your first time, now let's go back to the first time you went on stage. First time, how was it? Like you said, you're going on stage, you're in front of all these people. It's the first time. How was it for you? And how do you tell your comedians that you're mentoring when it's their first time? How should they handle it?
Yeah. Okay. The very first time is it's just an amazing experience all the way around. Like everything about it, it's scary as hell. Everybody paid to see you. Everybody got a babysitter to come out. They made it a destination to the club. The first thing that stands out the most to all new comics, they all say the same thing. I didn't expect the light to be so bright. So not only that, people don't understand, when you're sitting in the seats at a comedy club, you could see him perfect, but chances are he can't see past the first person. So it's blinding. So now you're going to make believe that you're looking at the people. You're going to make believe that, and then the first sign of somebody's first time being on stage, or very absolute beginner, is they're doing the set with their hand up trying to block the light. So the light can throw you off your game. The first time is so bad because you've been trying to memorize your set. You don't want to forget. Some guys go up with notes the next to their beer on a napkin. So it can be a horrible experience. But if I was to tell somebody, a new guy, let's say you wanted to do comedy for the first time, I would say take some classes. They have comedy classes out there. And what they do is they teach you on what to expect. Expect the light, what to expect with the microphone, what to expect with the sound, the feedback with the audience, when the audience is laughing and when to deliver that next line, and so forth, where to stand, how to hold your hands, and all those things are so important. So many people go on stage for the first time without any guidance, and guess what? Their first time is usually their last time. So I was lucky to go to this comedy class where I expected that light. Mm-hmm. I expected the mic stand to be in my way. I expected the cord to be maybe tangled up. I expected all that. But here's the cool thing. Okay. First time you're going on stage, you're going out there with the material that you put. First of all, you're only doing 5 minutes. If it's your first time on stage, the booker, the venue, they know it's your first time. You're not doing more than 5 minutes. And you've been perfecting that 5 minutes for like the past 6 months, 3 months, or whatever. To you, that's the funniest 5 minutes in your life. You love that 5 minutes. Doesn't mean the audience is going to love your best 5 minutes. So that's probably the scariest part. Once you do your first joke, I was lucky. I had a really good set my first time around. But I've seen some guys go out there and just totally, like, eat it. And it's it's scary, and it takes guts for anybody to jump on stage for the first time. But I would always say, take some classes, know the rules, how the comedy scene works, know what works and what doesn't work. In the class was really cool because it gave you up for the first time, and that's what the topic of this conversation is about. You did your 5 minutes in front of 10 other people wannabe comics for 6 weeks, and they critique you after every 6 minutes, after every 5 minutes. This doesn't work, that doesn't work. So it was really, really cool thing. So I would suggest anybody to take some sort of class or go to a bunch of open mics and real shows, take some mental notes, see how it's done, and then deliver according that way. Do not just show up at a club and go up there because it could be a horrible experience for you.
Yeah. So you would say improvising's big because, like you said, if the audience kind of turns against you, you're not funny at that point in time. You need to know how to switch your gears quick. Otherwise, like you said, you'll just bomb out and you'll look like a fool up there.
Yeah. If you're and like you said, switching gears. I didn't get a laugh at that joke last weekend, so I
All right, yeah.
So, hopefully I didn't mess up the thing.
No, it's
I switched gears because I didn't get a laugh, but I switched gears because of my experience. And when I went the other way, it worked. That might not happen to somebody new. If somebody new, I would tell them, I say, hey, if you're not getting anything, make fun of the fact that you're not getting anything. Just say something like, I don't know why I signed up for this. Why am I up here? Why am I putting myself in this position for you people to judge me? Why am I putting myself in position for you people to hate me? Why am I here? Am I not going to get paid for now for this set? Why? Does anybody know any good restaurants? So you're going to make fun of the fact that you're bombing.
right.
I have this cool thing that I do too, and I talk about how I'm gonna write a book. I say, well, if you guys don't stop laughing, I think, you know what? I think tonight's going to be my last night of doing comedy. I say, that's it. If you don't stop laughing, I'm quitting comedy, and it's going to be your fault. I'm going to write a book, and it's going to be about you people. It's going to be, and then it's just all, I'll talk about how the book is going to be written. And then stop laughing. And then you got them on the page, and I was complaining that they weren't laughing. Now the next joke, I said, can we move forward in my set now? And then they start laughing, and they just think. So a great comic, Tommy Koenig in New York, he's a comedy coach, actually gave me this great line. He said, if you're not getting anything, and it's a small crowd, you have to talk to them. You have to let them know that you're fine with the way it's going.
Yeah.
So, and then when you do that and you start interacting with them, the audience feels that's hysterical. And it really is. It really is. The worst thing you could do is try to force your jokes down their throat because you believe they're funny. That's the worst thing you can do. And there's a lot of too many guys out there that think they're hysterical. And when an older mentor would say, hey, look, that joke's not funny. It's an abortion joke. There's nothing funny about that. These guys won't listen to you. And they continue to go out there and get them. And then they wonder why they don't get any paid spots. So they should listen to all the older comics. Most older comics are done talking to the younger comics because a lot of them don't want your advice. I've had in the very beginning, I felt I had enough experience. So the young comic, I said, hey, you see how you did this? Maybe you should try this. And when he shot me down in a second, he said, my joke's fine the way it is. And I was like, I said, okay. But didn't get any laughs.
Well, yeah. Well, that's why comedy, and we'll just go back to it quickly, is the way it is. Like you said, a lot of the younger guys, they just play off the political correctness and all the Trump and all that stuff. And after a while, a couple of those jokes may be funny, but after a while, it starts to get a little tiresome. People get sick of hearing that junk. But I wanted to ask you quickly about, you go on there, and we talked about, and there's 2 questions left. We talk about with, you target the groups when you do the fundraisers. Maybe you're doing it for younger people, older people, middle-aged, people that are into sports, whatever it may be. When you go, how do you look into that? I know you have a lot of comics that you work with, but how do you kind of target them? Do you find a person that's more kind of in that group, or do you kind of go up there and, like, I mean, if you look at senior citizens, and that may be, a tough thing to crack, I mean, because how does that work, I guess?
Well, so let's say for the sake of conversation, I get a call to do a Lions Club. A Lions Club. Right away, I know it's going to be the crowd. So I go to my team of comics and I say, all right, and I just know their sets. So clearly, I'm not going to send a 25-year-old. Right. I'm going to send somebody 45 and up, and they're going to be fine. And then the second thing you do is you find out if the client wants a clean show or an adult show. Yeah. So the clean show, we've done shows in churches. So clearly it's the job of the booker to know that person's set.
Is clean tougher, Mike, though? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Is clean tougher because you can't go out of the box as much as where dirty, you can just kind of hit anything and nothing's out of bounds?
Yep. Clean covers a lot of things. Clean means no swearing at all. You can't even say shit in a clean show. Right. Clean show means no sexual jokes, but you can do innuendos, light ones. And you can't do any drug jokes. So no drugs, no sex, no swearing. So it's going to be more about my kid was driving me nuts today, rather than so me and my wife hooked up. That's the difference. So the clean show, I would say of all the shows we've done, maybe 10%, 15% of the shows not an absolute clean show. And the rest of them, they say, you could do an adult show, just don't go crazy. And then we still have we have the safety net to the comics. Don't do this word, don't say this word, don't touch on this topic. And usually that's good enough. But you're right. It's hard to find the clean comics. Now, clean comics are worth more money too. So I consider myself a clean, So a clean comic knows that. So a clean comic knows. So if a client wants a clean show, I tell them. I say, it might cost a little bit more because they're hard to come by. Right. They're really hard to come by, especially whatever level clean you want. They say, all right, I want, but here's a cool trick. Here's a cool trick that I do and we do at Funny for Fun. Let's say for the sake of conversation, St. Timothy's Church wants to do a show, and the show is in the church. Now you know. Not only are you going to be clean, you can't even say Jesus, you can't say, oh God, you can't say nothing. So what I would do is, and it's so hard, people panic when they have to do a show at a church. But you know what? They're the best audiences. You know why? Because they're not expecting to laugh. So when they find something funny, it's the funniest joke. I've got standing ovations in the church. Wow. On jokes I don't even get a laugh at real shows. So it's a different animal. But here's what I do. Here's the really cool trick. Okay. On a regular show, I send 3 comics, a host, a feature, and a headliner. Mm-hmm. On a church show, I send 5 to 6 comics. So what that does is we all have to do less time now. So when I can do less time, I'm not stressing myself. I'm going to give them, so if I can do 45 minutes clean, imagine if somebody tells me all you have to do is 15 minutes clean. Now I'm giving them solid gold and so forth. So you make it a showcase style. The audience doesn't know that this, should be just 3 comics. This show, now they're getting a variety and it works out great. Same thing with older crowd. I might throw a guest spot in there where I think maybe the feature might not be that great. Let me get a guest spot. Somebody go in there and do 10 minutes solid gold. It takes pressure off everybody.
Right. Mike, what's the most outrageous thing you've had to deal with in one of your shows, or if your comedians had to deal with in general? That's awful. So.
there's so many different levels, like, because there's outrageous meaning, nobody in the audience, just 3 people, and you go do the show.
You and how many people?
3.
3. Wow, that's.
So when you do, yeah, and here's my opener. Ready? My opener for the 3 people. You ready? Hey, everybody, oh my God, I'm so excited to be here. And then I come out of the light and said, anybody have trouble getting tickets? And so now, in that situation, the 3 people there, they probably feel bad for you. So when you realize, and then you start talking about, like, I called the booker earlier and I said, hey, I'm excited to be at the club. And he said, yeah, Michael, we're excited you're going to be here. Is there anything we can do for you to make you feel more comfortable? And I said, yeah, Jim, it sounds weird, but can you do me a favor? And he said, anything for you, Mike. Can you make sure there's only 3 people there? And then now they laugh, you got them in the hands, and then you start talking. Now, when there were 3 people in the audience, I go off the stage and sat at their table. I sat at their table and did the show from the seat. And now they felt that like it was Elvis now. It was like a private show. So, that was one extreme. Another extreme was I was doing a show in a 1,000 seat theater. 1,000 seat theater, 25 people. So that was like an echo. And it was really loud. Another time was one time this lady came up and took her shirt off on stage. She was drunk. Another time I
that though.
Oh, here's the worst one. This is the absolute worst one I ever did.
Okay.
I was hired to do a private show for a bunch of lawyers. That's red flag number 1. These people, they want to be the smartest person in the room, they don't want to laugh. Yeah. There was about 100 of them, and they were having dinner, and they were from all over the world. The office manager, who was not a lawyer, thought it would be a good idea to do comedy during dinner. Never do comedy show during dinner because people are eating up, looking down, looking up, looking up. Yeah. So she said, no, these people will love it. She gave, that was red flag number 1, was the lawyers. Red flag number 2 was that they were eating during the show. Red flag number 3 was when she was introducing me. She said, are you ready for comedy? And the audience actually said, no. So that was red flag number 3. I walk out to absolute silence. Absolute silence. 3 minutes, not even 3 minutes into my set, the lead lawyer stands up and says, that's enough. I said, oh, but that's enough, you don't want to hear me anymore? She said, that's correct. I said, okay, now it's absolute silence. I said, all right, if you guys love me, you're going to love the next guy, because I'm going to bring up the next guy. And she goes, oh, no, that's enough. I said, oh, you mean like the show? She said, yeah. And this is happening on stage in the audience. I said, oh, okay. So that's it. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. I hope you enjoyed my set. And I walked off stage to absolute silence. So I took an entire show down in 3 minutes. An entire show. The other 2 comics were in the green room on the floor laughing so hard. And then my absolute worst show, that was the second one. The absolute worst show was I was called, this is the red flag. You're going to love this one. Okay. There are certain red flags you shouldn't take the gig. And here's where the red flags were lining up. I got a call from a friend, actually. She said, I want to book you to do a show. It was at a nursing home. I said, you can't do it. Nursing home won't work. She goes, oh, no, it's not for the patients. She said, it's for the employees, an appreciation night. Appreciation day. I said, oh, and it's going to be dinner, like shrimp and steak and appreciation. I said, and a comedy show. I said, sounds pretty good. So if they book me, I go, red flag number 2, Tuesday afternoon at noon. That's red flag number 2. So I get there, I'm sitting in the office, and I said to the manager, I said, so tell me more about the show. What should I expect? She goes, oh, it's going to be great. So it's an appreciation night for the maintenance staff. And now I'm thinking right away, how big is this building? How many people are on the maintenance staff? I said, how many people are coming to the show? She said, 3. No, four, I'm sorry, four. I said, four? She said, yeah, but it's a surprise, it's slip and safe. I'm like, all right. I said, all right, so are they going to be on their lunch break? And she goes, oh no, they don't work during the day. They work at night. I said, so how'd you get them that? She goes, that's the cool part. She said, I told them all there was a mandatory HUD conference, teleconference today. And I'm like, are you crazy? These guys just want to be home. She goes, yeah, they're going to love it. They're getting shrimp and sick. She kept saying, they're getting shrimp and sick. I'm like, all right. And then I'm saying, maybe it's not going to be that bad. I said, where's the show going to take place? She said, in the kitchen. So they take me to this kitchen. I'm standing in the kitchen, and they got one table set up for four. All right, so where are the guys? She said, they're in the conference room waiting for the call. I'm like, so how are you going to get them in here? She said, this is the best part, she said. She goes, this is the best part. I'm going to run in the room and yell, oh my God, the ceiling just collapsed in the kitchen. I said, are you on your mind? 5 minutes later, four elderly men come running into the kitchen looking at the ceiling. They're looking at the ceiling. I'm standing over there on the side and I just went, surprise! And they were like, what the hell's going on? And I'm like, are you guys ready for some comedy? And then I'm getting nothing. So now I'm doing the act. I'm saying to them, you know how the comics always starts like, hey, my career's taking off. Here I am in a nursing home on Tuesday for 4 people who have no idea there's a comic. So they were taking that as serious. So this one dude was rubbing my arm and goes, it's all right, buddy. It's all right. And then she told me, go after Leo. Make sure, with no rules, just go after Leo. Everybody loves Leo. Leo was like 85 years old. So I started doing I'm going through my set. I'm getting no joke, no laughter whatsoever. One nurse across the way was laughing at my joke. And she goes, oh, come on, guys, get it? And then she starts explaining the joke. And then I'm sitting and watching a documentary on my joke. So then I get to my next to last joke is a killer joke about my mother-in-law. He starts crying. He starts crying, like tears. I'm saying to myself, I'm not trying to draw attention to him. I'm thinking, why is this guy crying? He throws his arms up in the air, runs out of the room, and runs down the hallway. I lost 25% of my audience on one joke. And I'm like, what's going on? And the nurse says, oh, his mother-in-law is sick. And I'm like, the guy's like 85 years old. That puts his mother-in-law like 125, which is the age of my mother-in-law in the joke. And I'm like, I'm going to get sued over here. So I'm saying, you know what? I'm going to wrap this up. And you guys have been great. And then I said, not really. I said, follow me. I said, please, if you enjoyed my set, go to my website and follow me. My name is A. Casito. Go to acasitocomedy.com. I gave them a different name. I gave them a different website. I said, I'm out of here. And that was the worst show ever.
Oh, man, that was funny. I'll tell you.
I gotta go check you. I was telling that story. Absolute true story.
Yeah. I gotta go and check this out. I'll tell you, that's a show that I would have loved to see. How did you not break out laughing when you got some guy that racist?
Yeah. Crying. Literally crying. Crying and then he left. 25% of my audience on one joke I lost.
Oh my God.
I should actually tell that story on stage because it's a great story.
Yeah, that is a great story. So this is the last 2 questions.
Oh, you got time for one more one?
Yeah, you're gonna make
time for one more?
No.
Okay, here's another one. It was in Connecticut, and I was hired by another comic to do comedy at the end of a conference, and they were gonna have dinner, and it was in a conference room, and it was for it was all men. It was all men. There was no women there at all. I can't remember the name of the club, but it was like a Masons or some sort. It was all men. And it was real old crowd. And there was about 35 people in the audience in this conference room. And they had this giant buffet. So a giant buffet right in the middle of the table. So you had like about 4 tables and this big buffet that was about 20 feet long. Now me and 2 other comics were sitting at a table. Not once did they offer us a plate or say, hey, if you guys are hungry, you can grab something. It was a buffet now. It wasn't sit down. Now most times when you're hired to do a show, usually comes with a meal. Yeah. So we're sitting there and we're like, these guys are not, I mean, we're starving. So now the show was going real bad. I know, real bad. I was the headliner. And there was this one dude, like, sitting here, and he's facing the other way, clearly not paying attention. Yeah. I go up there, I'm getting nothing. And then I start saying I say, hey, this is not the worst show I ever did. And let me tell you about the worst show I did. And then I start talking about that show. I start describing that guy. I described the whole room, and nobody's catching on except for the comic. So I'm going on and on. I was like, and then there was this guy who was right in the front. He was wearing a black shirt, kind of looked like Scotch tape. And I was describing him, he had suspenders on him, and he would not turn around no matter what the comics were saying. I was describing, and nobody was catching on. I couldn't be any more detailed. So now I was up there for my own enjoyment because I was getting nothing. Yeah. I grabbed a plate. I got the microphone under my arm, and I'm doing my set while I'm putting stuff on my plate.
Yeah.
Nobody is watching. The comics were just losing it. I'm literally just eating, but I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying, I didn't draw attention to what I was doing. I was just continuing my set while I was placing spoons, like chicken wings on my mashed potatoes. I had everything on my plate, and I'm just doing my regular set with my microphone under my arm, and nobody noticed. And it was the funniest and worst show ever.
Did they go after you for the food, Mike?
Exactly. And it was like, so those 2 stories, the guys in the thing, the nursing home, 3 people, and the guys just making a play at the buffet table were one of my proudest moments. I couldn't wait to tell my wife, you'll never believe what I did. I made a play at a buffet during my set and didn't draw any attention to it. So, those were the fun times and worst times, all wrapped in one.
All right. And the last 2 questions. What is the future for comedy? What do you think? I know you said comedy's catching back on. You saw we talked about the Chappelle show. But do you still worry about the political correctness too? That's kind of in that background. And I just think it's worse than it's ever been. I believe. I mean, I'm only 28, but it's still, I believe it's worse than it's ever been.
Yep. I think it's making a comeback. I really do. And most comedians are saying the same thing. They were all said that I remember reaching out to a couple of comedians and I said, tell me you saw the same thing I saw. Did you see the fact that both those guys did the same thing in the same week and they touched on every topic that was a flower button? Did you see that comedy might be making a comeback? And they all said the same thing. And on Facebook, it blew up. Social media blew up, and it saw a lot of people saying, "Yes, funny is funny." And but if you can be funny without crossing the line, you will get every gig. Every gig. So that anybody new coming into the game, I say, "Hey, look, write clean. Don't write offensive. Every single door will open for you." You know, these guys, Dave Chappelle and Bill Burr, they're already famous. They can get away with a lot of stuff. You, a regular guy starting out, could never do that same exact set and make it. Yeah. So yes, you're right. But little by little, it'll get better, easier and easier and easier. I think people are fed up with the whole politically correct thing. It's gone over the top. And I think at the end of the day, it will come back. It won't be as bad as it was. You know, you're not going to have your Richard Pryor again. You're not going to have these guys again. But you will have your Bill Burrs and your Dave Chappelle.
Okay. And last, where can people find more about you? And if somebody did want to go to a show, could they go on the website and kind of look and yeah.
Absolutely. Even though we're a fundraising company, every show is open to the public. So if somebody goes to Funny for Funds, Funny the number 4 funds.com, there's a button that says Find an Event. Right now we have 60 events in the next few weeks, and every one of them. So if you're a young dude, you want to click on the like Springfield High School football show, because you know it's going to be a younger crowd and younger crowd. If you're an older dude, click on the Rotary Club show, you know, and you'll know it's going to be an older crowd. If you're a church going person or you like squeaky clean comedy, go to one of the church shows. So there's and then we also have a contact us button on there. Me and Bill answer all our emails, so it's just us two. And we would love any feedback. We would love to bring comedy anywhere in the United States. Now we're in Florida, West Virginia. We're in Myrtle Beach. We got a new one in Myrtle Beach. We have one in New York. We have 2 in Connecticut, 5 in Massachusetts, 1 in Portland, Maine. So 1 in New Hampshire. Wow. So Funny for Funds is our vision is global. Our vision is global. It's happening. And in just 6 years, we've built an amazing thing. We're very proud of it. People love us. We've done over 1,300 shows. And we love comedy, and we love helping people raise money. And it's a perfect mix.
So let me ask you, Mike, if somebody wanted to just see, you to make sure that you were in the show or Bill was in the show, does it
just request it? Just request it. Okay. We've been requested in Kansas. We've been requested in Kansas. Got on a plane and went to Kansas. Wow. We requested in California. Done it. So if they want us, we can make it happen. We'll have to look at our schedule, and if somebody wants to just see Bill, we'll know what show we've done in the next few weeks, and we'll say go to this show. If they want to see both of us, these are the shows we're on tonight, and so forth.
All right, Mike. Hey, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it. And everyone, go for funnyforfunds.com. Check us out. I'll tell you, we hadn't met before this, but you were completely hilarious. Those stories were something that were amazing, and they made me crack up and almost made me hard of breathing for a second. But I appreciate it, Mike.
I'd love to see. Whenever you want to come to the show, we'll hook you up with as many tickets as you want. If anybody listens to this, and wants to come to the show, email us and we'll hook you up with some comp tickets too.
Yeah, because I want to, I'll be back up there in March, and I definitely want to check you out and spread the word for sure.
Absolutely. March is a very busy time for shows. I'm sure we'll get you on one with both me and Bill on.
Yeah, sounds good.
I think so. We got one of our guys, Brad Pierce. He does a lot of crowd rep, so you'll see the best of everything.
Sounds good. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Rhode Island in March, Mike. I appreciate the time, and I'm definitely going to put this out, and I will send you a copy, and hopefully we can push this around too.
Beautiful. Absolutely will. Thank you, Rob. It's been great talking to you, and see you in March.
All right, see you in March. Thanks, Mike. We'll keep in contact.
Okay, buddy. Bye-bye.
Bye now.